It's raining, it's wet, it's cold. I need a fire. Let's go start one. So it's been raining for several days in a row, and so all the usual places that you're gonna find tinder, dry grass, pine needles, fine twigs like this, they're all soaking wet. And so I have to find dry tinder to get my fire going. So I'm looking for something very specific. I'm looking for a standing dead tree, preferably a conifer. And I think this one right here might just be the ticket. When all the fine fuels around you are wet, there's one place that's guaranteed to be dry, and that's on the inside of a standing dead snag like this one right here. And standing is the key point here, because a standing snag gets much less rain on it, the snow doesn't sit on it in the wintertime, and the moisture content inside this snag will be much, much less than a log that's laying over on its side, and especially one that's laying on the ground. Let's cut it down and see what we got. Now we need to go find a dry place to get our fire going. So I've got a relatively flat spot here. I'm just going to go ahead and string up my tarp, give myself a dry place. Just tie in a regular old slip knot here. Use a trucker's hitch on this side, get it super tight. Cut a couple of stakes. Scrape out a little place for the fire here. Just gonna go ahead and cut a couple short pieces of wood here so I can get them split for when I get the fire going. So when you're splitting kindling like this, you've got a tendency to want to hold this thing. It's a great way to cut yourself. One great way to split kindling without putting yourself at risk is to place it on the axe head like that and then smack this on your block. Splits it like that, and all you got to do is twist. That'll be a good one to make a feather stick out of right there. Now I'm just going to pick out a piece with pretty straight grain from the interior of that wood, and I'm going to make a feather stick. So I am terrible at making feather sticks by taking your knife and shaving the wood, and I find it easier to take the knife, drive it into a log, and then pull the wood against the blade instead of the other way around. And so that is what I'm gonna do. I find it doing it this way is much easier to control and get those nice fine shavings that you want for your feather stick. I'm still not very good at it, but you don't have to be great at it. You just got to be persistent, like many things in life. So I've and two little feather sticks here. That ought to be enough to catch a spark and make a flame. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and process some of this stuff down a little smaller. The key to successful fire making in tough conditions is be prepared. Get everything set up before you start that first spark, because if you get halfway there, you spark it up, burn up what you've already done, then you got to start back from square one. So make sure you have enough materials to make it work the first time. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a couple of pieces down here for my base. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just shave some of my ferro rod off into this, hopefully without creating a spark, because those shavings that you get off there, those things will ignite when you do get a spark in here and generate a lot more heat inside that tinder bundle. So I've got all those ferro shavings down in my tinder bundle right here, but if I take my ferro rod and my knife and push the sparks off towards the bundle, I run the risk of hitting it and knocking that thing all over the place. And so what I'm gonna do to avoid that is put my knife down and pull the rod against that. That way I don't hit my tinder bundle and mess everything up. And there we go. Now, like I said, you want to have all your little fine fuels ready to rock, so you just throw it on there. Knowing how to start a fire is one of the fundamental outdoor skills, but it's not enough just to practice it under ideal conditions. You need to get out in adverse conditions, because that is exactly what you're going to face if you ever do get stranded in the woods, and it might just save your life.